Being the first member of a generation in an institutional body like Congress, it means something, right? It's part of the story. It is a message for young people, but I think more than that, it's a message for everybody else to not count young people out. And if you can extrapolate it even further, don't count anybody out, no matter who they are. I always tell people, look at the timeline of Gen Z. I remember being in elementary school, looking at the news with my dad and seeing all these like college-age people sleeping outside of Wall Street, talking about something called wealth inequality, Occupy Wall Street. Growing up, seeing that 30 minutes north of me, a young black man who looked kind of like me, Brother Trayvon Martin, would be murdered for just walking while black in the neighborhood. Columbine, Parkland, Pulse right here in Orlando, all these mass shootings. Our generation will go through more school shooting drills and fire drills as they go through middle school and high school. So this is kind of all we've known, and there's merit to that, right? There's merit to growing up through that, becoming 25, becoming 20, becoming 18, looking back at your childhood and saying, wow, we really deserved better. I believe that a platform should be the future you want to live in. We know that we're not going to be able to get there tomorrow, right? I think we all collectively understand that. But you can't take a step in a journey unless you know where you're going. And for me, and for a lot of folks here, it's a world where you have healthcare. And that's why, achieving Medicare for all is really important to me. It's a world where it's free of gun violence. That's why I believe in, yes, ensuring that guns don't get in the wrong hands, but also building a world where people don't feel the need to use a gun to solve their problems in the first place, right? It's also the climate crisis and climate change. We just had one of the worst hurricanes we've had in a long time here in Florida, especially Southwest Florida. A lot of it's leveled, it does not exist anymore, it has to be completely rebuilt. We need to take the climate crisis seriously because the cost of not doing anything is far greater than the cost of taking action right now. The bill just gets higher and higher and higher, and we're footing it to the next generation. This last year has been the hardest year of my life. I quit my job at March for Our Lives to do this full time. I thought I had enough money in the bank. I did not. A few months down the line in the campaign, my account hit zero and I started Uber driving at night to pay my bills. We look at our candidates across the country, they're usually more wealthy, they're usually more interconnected, and it's because those folks can afford to go a year without working. And so, there was a time in October where I didn't have a place to live and I was literally houseless for multiple weeks, sleeping on couches, sleeping in my car one night. And even though there's folks who go through that for years and years and years in this country, it just showed me how inaccessible this process is. And that was very difficult for me, especially as a young person. I'm really honored to go in. I do feel some of that pressure, but at the end of the day, I know I'm not a savior, right? And I'm not the one sole representative of my generation. We're not a monolith. We're so many different types of people with different schools of thought. I'm just honored to be in the room and to be able to give that perspective on these urgent issues that my generation is really thinking about.